Super Rugby round number 4, folks. There are now no more undefeated teams, with both the Brumbies and the Tars dropping games at home. My Blues are back to winning ways after beating the Red and Black boys up at Eden Park. And the Chiefs boys and Highlanders boys kind of got expected wins. The Drua watched this one on the bye. We'll go through the games pretty quick. You guys can let us know your thoughts on the round that was. Chiefs Moana Pasifika, I've put expected blowout, because the Chiefs are massive favourites and they win 57-24. That's not the biggest blowout of the week, which is maybe a credit to Moana, but it's still a blowout nonetheless. Leroy Carter gets a hat-trick, Narawa gets one, Foketi gets one, Kyle Brown gets one on debut, Coombs Fabley gets one. They scored a lot of tries. The Chiefs, Tupo Tailoa got a couple for the Moana boys. Waihu was bloody everywhere and got one as well. So it was a very high-scoring game, but the expected result really comes to the fore pretty quick, didn't it? I mean, the Chiefs scored on, 2 minutes? So they led for basically the entire game. But Moana, as I said, given some of the other results, maybe slightly better value than they were predicted to be. But it's a good return for D-Mac. He was running the back line. It was a good return for Cortez Ratama. He got like 3 try assists in this one, so they were both back from paternity leave. Waihu busted 11 tackles for Moana, so he looked the business, along with Tupo Tailoa getting over the try line. Taukei'aho, Tupaia, very busy on the ball carry. So, 57-24. There's no real great headlines about that game. It's a high-scoring affair, which went pretty much exactly according to the predictions. Then there's the Hurricanes, a big win over the Tars, 59-19. If you'd asked me which of these games are going to be closer, I would have said the Canes-Tars game, but the Tars are way back down to earth. I mean, they were only 2-0. They were technically undefeated. They're coming off a bye against the Canes team who had to travel over from Fiji off a loss. So there was a lot going in favour of the Tars. And, sometimes you look at a game and you think, oh, this team's attacking really well. They're hard to live with. Or this team is not defending. Or sometimes it's a bit of both. But honestly, the Tars defence looked bad. Like really, really bad. I still got to give a lot of credit to the Canes, but geez, the Tars were awful on defence. You're not going to win many games if your tackle rate 78%. 78%. And you're giving up 13 line breaks. That is genuinely one of the worst defensive shifts in terms of just the pure stats that I've ever seen between two teams which are, not supposed to be that far apart. Suoli was a late change for the Tars, which is an unfortunate one, but I don't think he's making a difference here. Proctor, 3 tries. Spalen Sullivan, 2. Jorgensen did get 2 for the Tars. He got an intercept 1. Got nice footwork 1 on the wing, but jeepers, this is all about the Hurricanes. Proctor had 3 line breaks, 4 defenders beaten. Sullivan had 2 line breaks. They were scoring tries for fun. I mean, the Tars had the early lead, but it did not last long. The Canes boys replied with a couple of tries in return, and it went all the Canes' way from there. They are very much deserved winners. They've already brushed off the Lautoka disappointment over Fiji and are back to winning ways. So, 13 line breaks to 3. Canes tackled at 87%, which is proper, not 78. Those numbers round the other way make for a much worse look for the Tars. Then we get to the Saturday games. You got the Highlanders up against the Force. Remember the Force coming off a bit of a nice win over Moana. Is this one the game of the week? I feel like it might be. Game of the week, I'm going to give it to this one. I didn't see all of the second half live because I had to head off to the Blues and Crusaders game. There's a bit with the travel time, there's a bit of overlap there, but this was a real, genuine, tit-for-tat, different styles of teams game. And I like that. I like that two teams can play the game in different ways. Like the commentators were giving the Force guys a bit of grief for, not offloading and not getting line breaks and whatnot, but that's not the only way you can score tries. You can score tries from your forwards and mauls and stuff as well. I like the way that the Force can score from the backs as well, but I like that they're not all the same. The Highlanders had a 10-point lead. Lasanga got on the board. Yeah, I had him in my fantasy team, so I was pretty happy with that. Cam Miller kicked his conversion, kicked his penalty, but the Force, their forwards get some replies. Ikwasi got himself on the board. They won't be happy with the first of Jonah Lowe's scores. That was just poor defense, I feel like, from the Force. And they, like the Tars, don't come out of this one with a particularly good tackle rate. It was 21-17, though, at half-time because the Force, who took the lead going into the sheds, had a couple of late tries. So in the first half, cracking stuff for them. They led for like 15 odd minutes, but then the Highlanders guys hit back. Jonah Lowe gets a second. Tangitau gets one. Highlanders back in front, but the Force were not done, man. Tizano gets one. You got Bridge get one. They missed both conversions, though, kind of crucially. And then the Tangitau second kind of sealed the deal along with penalty for the Landers. So defensive stats, 74% for the Force is even worse than the Waratahs, whereas the Landers were at 90%. The Force guys have missed 37 tackles. Admittedly, 9 of those are Tavatava Nawai running through people. He's always going to bust 5, 6, 7 tackles. This week he busted 9. So he's a hard guy to live with, but you can't be missing that many tackles. As I said, the Jonah Lowe one was just a straight missed tackle leading to a try. Tangitau had 3 line breaks of the Landers' 10. Tangitau individually had more than the Force totally. So I'm not saying line breaks is everything, but yeah, defensively the Force won't be happy. But I like the fact that it was a chopping and changing game. Both sides led for decent periods. Both sides showed what they can do. If the Force had defended a bit better, kicking their goals, who knows? But yeah, good response for Jamie Joseph's boys after he missed out on the All Blacks job. He'll be disappointed, but back to business for the Landers. Then Blues Crusaders. So I'm pretty happy with this game because the Blues generally don't have the best record against the Crusaders. I went with Tony from Distracted Sports. He took his daughter. I took my kids. We went to the game. Kids were enjoying it, and enjoyed it more because the Blues managed to get a win, 29 points to 13. The Crusaders were scoreless in the second half, which does not happen that often. I feel like they were missing Will Jordan. Will Jordan was rested for this one. So, yeah, we got Caleb Clark back. Remember, he was injured in the last game. Went off early, but we had him for 80 minutes this time, barring his yellow card period. 3 tries from Caleb. Cody Vai got one as well. The Cody Vai finish was magic. I don't feel like this is the best viewing probably for a neutral because like the Crusaders kept dropping a lot of ball and the Blues gave away a lot of penalties. But still, if you want to see the Crusaders lose and my Blues win, it's a great game. So yeah, probably not the most entertaining game of the round, but maybe more even. Maybe better tackling than some of the other games, better defensive shifts. Papali'i was tackling the house down in his 100th, so Bodie had to start. Remember, Perofeta was a late withdrawal, so yeah, Bodie helped pull the strings in that Blues backline. We kicked a lot, but yeah, with the Crusaders dropping the ball, Caleb Clark getting 3 tries and Cody Vai 1. They did get Ray Hunter and Taylor over the board for the Crusaders, but yeah, good game to watch if you're a Blues fan. Lester Fainga'anuku's still dangerous on attack. 8 defenders beaten. But yeah, the penalty count, 13-4 against the Blues. Turnovers conceded, 24-16 against the Crusaders. Too much drop ball, too many penalties conceded. If the Crusaders had caught more ball, it would have been a much more even game. Likewise, if the Blues had better discipline, we might have won by more. And the last one, the Brumbies and the Reds. This one's a bit of a surprise package. This one also could be game of the week. But there's a bit of controversy at the end of this one, I think. Because of the Reds, they seemed to knock it on after the last kickoff. But they didn't really call it, and then the Reds went and scored. But there's drama at the finish. If you want the drama, this is your game of the week. This is your other game of the week. Because this one, like, the Reds are dead and buried. They are, what, 31-20 down with 2 minutes to go. They still managed to win. That's incredible. That is incredible. Delayed start due to the weather. Brumbies, a couple of early scores. Charlie Cowell gets another one. Jesus on a try-scoring spree, but it's going as expected with the Brumbies as heavy favourites. But the Reds replied with 17 points. Wilson, nice try assist. He's got great hands for a loose. He helps set up another one. Doesn't get an assist for it because it's like 3 passes before the try, but had a hand in it. Cale gets a second for the Brumbies. The Reds get a penalty. So, no, 19 to the Brumbies, 20 to the Reds at halftime. Cracking game. Then 2 more tries from the Brumbies to open the scoring of the second half. It was kind of scoreless for the start of the second half. So there was a couple of Reds close chances not taken, but the Brumbies are out to this 31-20 lead. As I said, like 2 minutes to play. Dalgunu gets a real forwards try. And then the Reds have to go length of the field after the restart, which, like I said, seemed to be kind of knocked on, but they didn't call it. They called it knocked backwards. And then, Jock Campbell, big line break. And then eventually the Reds camped down Brumbies end. Carter Gordon goes over for the try. They convert it for a 34-31 win. Couple of missed conversions, a bit costly for the Brumbies, seeing as the Reds kicked all of theirs. So, yeah. Losing bonus point for the Brumbies, but that is their first defeat. Pretty crazy game. That one How is the table looking? The Brumbies are still first on 14, only 1 point ahead of the Chiefs now, and then the Hurricanes are up into third. Those are your kind of top 3 playoff teams, and the bottom 3 playoff teams will be the Blues, Tars, and Reds on 10, 10, and 9. So there's a few teams with similar kind of points ranges, and then just outside the playoffs, the Highlanders are also on 9. And there's a bit of a gap, like a 1-win gap to the Crusaders, Drua, Force, and Moana overall. Only won the 1 game on 5, 4, 4, and 4 respectively. For round 5, there are some tasty looking ones. The Hurricanes, Force. Hurricanes will be massive favourites at home for sure. Drua Brumbies could be tasty because Drua are at home, which is where they get all their wins, and the Brumbies will be a bit of a wounded animal after that loss. Crusaders, Highlanders, Battle of the Deep South. Reds, Waratahs, Origin in it, and then Blues, Moana on the Sunday is kind of like an Auckland Battle of the 09. So, yeah, there is plenty to like about it. How things will go in this next round. You guys let us know your thoughts. Who is the top form team for you at the moment based on this? Is it the Chiefs with their big win? Are the Brumbies hard done by? You guys let me know your thoughts. The Crusaders going to make the playoffs. Take care, folks. Subscribe to the channel for some more Super Rugby. And I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.